Hey, it's Jim Reed with Next Level Coaching, powered by Summit Funding. And each month we do 2 interviews to get to know top producers at our company. Guys, the goal with this interview is, number one, for you to get to know them, but also to learn something, maybe something that you can add to your business, and for you to get to learn, their journey, because everybody's on a journey in this business. And I really feel like we're all super lucky that we fell into it. Honestly, I feel like, well, Kristy, what are the chances that this is a weird question for you because your son's pretty successful, but I call your daughter, right? What's the chances that she's going to be able to make as much money as you've been able to make?
Well, if you knew her, you'd probably say they're pretty high because she's just like me.
I know, but I feel like, gosh, we're so lucky to make so much money, right? And I feel like, who are we not to take advantage of that?
It's rare, and I am blessed for sure. I used to call myself lucky, and my husband corrects me all the time and says, it's not luck. You work your ass off.
Well, that's true.
But we are in this is a great business. Real estate, mortgage, it's sky's the limit. It doesn't take a 10-year college degree to do it. It just takes.
You said something super important. You do work your buns off, and so do I, and so do all you guys that are top producers. So when I say lucky, you're right for correcting me. I don't mean that the business just comes to you. I know you guys all work really hard. I mean that we're lucky we fell into this business, because we could be working really, really hard at a grocery store, and the most we'd make is $21 an hour.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's probably lucky on. So guys, get to know Kristy Gannon. So Kristy's out of Bakersfield, and she has been, how long have you been in the business, Kristy?
I got in the industry back in 2000. So 22
Tell me about
years.
that. How did you get into the business? What made you choose to get into this business?
Well, I went to a barbecue late on a Sunday night, and there was a lady there who, she just looked like the person I wanted to be in terms of how she carried herself, her hair, makeup, everything about her, I admired instantly when I met her. So I asked what she did. Turned out she owned a mortgage company.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like, you didn't know her before the party?
I did not know her before the party, and it was late.
Then what happened?
So I walked up to her and said, what do you do? She said, I own a mortgage company. And I said, I would do anything to learn how to answer the telephone. I was working in a warehouse at that point, doing manual labor at $7.10 an hour.
Wow.
So she said, she had a few drinks, right? And she said, call me tomorrow. And I couldn't sleep that night. I remember thinking, she's not going to remember me. She was just being polite. Yeah. And sure enough, the next day I called her on my first break. She remembered me. She started me at $9 an hour answering her phone. I remember thinking in my mind back then, not coming from an office environment, that I'm going to be answering multiple phone lines. There's going to be 20 phones. How can I do it? I show up, there's one phone, I was like, okay, I can do this.
You thought you were going to be like Lucille Ball in the plugging the cord in the wall and stuff.
Yeah.
That's funny. So that's how you got in the business. What would you do in the beginning? You just answered phones and you're a receptionist?
I think I probably answered phones for a couple of weeks. I could tell really fast that there was, a lot to learn. I wanted to learn it. I saw some paychecks flying around. It did not take long for me to switch and start processing. So I got into processing.
So you started as a receptionist and then you went into processing?
I did. Yeah, I'm sure I assisted a little bit in there. My mind's a little fuzzy, but I processed for 8 years. So I worked for loan officers. I was locking their loans and basically doing all the footwork. And remember, this is when anybody could get a loan. This is subprime brokerage companies,
Yeah. So what year was it that you started?
So I actually started in 2000, and I started processing probably like in 2001. So it wasn't long after that.
So then you processed all the way up through the mortgage meltdown then?
I did. Yep.
And then you decided to be an originator right when the mortgage meltdown happened, or what?
No. So people were making a ton of money back then. So as a processor, I was making like 8,000 a month, and I was just blown away. And that's how my husband and I were able to buy our first home. And so we had gotten accustomed to making some, pretty good money as a processor. So when the market started to melt down, I hopped from company to company. I think I went to 3 different companies because I wanted that $8,000 again.
Yeah.
And as it was kind of tanking,
Oh, I see. Yeah,
people were like,
paycheck.
yeah, they're like 5,000, 4,000. And I just was like, no, I still want that, I'm used to that. So I ended up quitting actually and got into the financial advising spectrum. So I got my 6 and 63 and dabbled in the insurance industry.
Wow, my brain is stuck on you taking that paycheck, because I'm thinking about right now, right? Like, it's starting to slow down. Refinances are going away, right? People aren't getting the overtime they used to get. They're not getting the bonus checks they used to get.
Yeah.
And there's some of them, they probably won't listen to this because the processors don't listen to these usually, but there's some of them that are like thinking that the paycheck's going to be out there and they're going to chase it. And I'm telling you, whether you're an originator or you are a processor, be at a company that focuses on purchases, because that's what lasts and that's what stays the most consistent. And I've seen you do that in your career. You're like me, I dang near give up refis. I chase purchases all the time.
Yeah.
But anyways, so then you got out of the business. I'm backing up now. So you got out of the business and got your series whatever license?
I did. So I went to a meeting and I was looking for work, right? And I went to a meeting and there's all these guys there and they're wearing these big class ring looking things. And what that class ring thing meant that they were super successful and, it made a ton of money. So I joined and I did everything. This is probably when I first discovered that I had some sales skills, some fire in the belly, some drive that I really didn't maybe realize existed. When I was self-employed, trying to sell 401ks to small dentists and doctors' offices, like walking in green and being coached to convince or educate, right? Go literally door to door.
They taught you like a presentation and you knocked on the dentist door and you're like,
walked in right here down the street, right where I'm located, was walking up and down Stockdale Highway. That's one of our main streets. Just walking in, asking if the dentist is on duty and can I meet with him? I was like,
do with that.
I worked really hard for 9 months. I did everything they said. They said recruit 10 people. I recruited 20. They said jump. I was like, I jumped higher than expecting. But, I was making pennies compared to what I was used to. So I think I made $10,000 in 9 months, just hustling and grinding.
Wow.
And the reason is because that industry is all about residual income. You have to build it. So what happened was this company actually had an outlet to broker loans. And so an old buddy from when I was processing it called, needed a mortgage loan. And I said, you know what? I haven't used this program. I haven't ever did loans, but I know how to do them, So I pushed this one loan through as a brokering it through this financial company and, got a paycheck, and I quit the next day.
Serious?
Yeah.
So then you went back to work for a mortgage company again?
Yeah. So I went around town and interviewed different mortgage companies. I really didn't know what I was doing. What year was that? I think it was 2006, 2007. And I went to Guild Mortgage, met a gentleman there and started working. What's funny though, is what I'm going to fast forward to today, is that I was taught when I started doing the financial services, was to go door to door and go find the business and go hunt it and ask for it. And so when I started doing mortgages, I didn't realize real estate agents gave you referrals. I just didn't realize that. I just knew go to a real estate company and ask everybody for business, like I did the dentists and the doctors. And so I'm doing that today.
Yeah, you're doing the same thing when you get a bigger paycheck.
Yeah.
Way bigger paycheck. Yeah, I always say there's only 3 positions at a mortgage company, right? You can own it, you can be a processor, or you can be an originator. That's it. There's only 3 jobs. And the best one is to be an originator because you don't have any risk and you can make a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you're gonna, might as well do it. So, so then you started doing loans, and like the first few years, what was that like for your loans? How many loans did you close the first few years? Like, so what year did you start originating? 09?
It would have had to have been 08, 09, probably 09. I don't remember, but it was just after, it was right in the middle actually of everything going on. So
Yeah, it was
probably
right in the middle of
09.
the meltdown. You remember when during the mortgage meltdown, there used to be a website and you could look at the mortgage banks that were going to go out of business. They had like a list. Did you ever see that?
No.
Yeah, during the mortgage meltdown, they had the implode list. And it was like
Oh.
mortgageimplodelist.com or something.
Everyone
And
who
it had
filed
all the banks
bankruptcy
that
or-
were like had already gone out of business, and the ones were on the watch list that were expected to go out of business. Because if you don't manage a mortgage company right, it goes out of business fast. And you got into the business when all that craziness was going on. And it's a lot like for the MLAs that are listening that are getting into the business right now. I think it's a really good time because they don't know any better. Like if they just run the play like you did, right? Get on the street, go belly to belly and ask for the business. It's what we're teaching them to do. And if they do it, they're going to wake up in 5 to 10 years and be super happy.
Yeah.
So your first couple of years originating, how many loans did you do?
I don't remember, but I'm sure it was probably about 50 or 60. It was easy to get loans back then, a lot easier than it is at this current moment. And I worked really hard. So I did probably about 60.
So like 4 or 5 loans a month, something like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then let's see, what year did you get into coaching?
I have a terrible memory. That's why I
mean, it
try
has
to
to
think
be
of,
like,
I need a resume in front of me.
So if you got in like, oh wait, I'm gonna help you out. So that's 14 years ago.
Yeah. So
And
I got in coaching 7 years ago.
Coaching like 7 or 8 years ago.
I did, yes, about 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
And then so what's the most loans you ever did in 1 year?
I think we will always, or anyone who ever has like touched greatness in their own mind will never forget the number. So mine was 346.
Nice. Wow.
346,
346. Wow, that's a lot of loans.
Yeah.
And then you started building a team. And what's the biggest that a team has ever been? Like so you guys know I've known Kristy a long time. I chased her I wanted to work with her for a long time because I really respect work ethic. Like if I don't respect your work ethic, you'll know it because I just kind of ignore you. That's just kind of, I just can't help it. I'm doing better at that nowadays, but for a while I just couldn't help it. But if I've respected your work ethic, because I think I have a good work ethic, then I just wanted to be around you because I really believe in that rule that my dad taught me, which is you are who you hang out with, I always tell the story. So I was at the kitchen table. I came home late one night and it was high school and I was eating a bowl of Cheerios and my dad was at the table reading the paper. He said, "What time did you get home last night?" I'm like, "Oh," trying not to answer any questions, trying to duck and dive, trying to stay out of trouble from the old man. And he goes, "Who are you out with?" I mumbled the answer, and he goes, "You're out with," and he named the guys Ken and his brother Rich and Brian. There's this one other guy, Daniel, and I said, "Yeah, I was out with those guys," and he goes, "You're at a crossroads in your life and you don't realize it." And I'm like, all I'm figuring out is how to have a good time. I'm like, wow, what? He goes, "Yeah, if you keep hanging out with those guys, you're not going to amount to much. Or you're going to find a new group of friends to hang out with and a set of friends that are good and are going places." And then he stopped and he paused and then he pulled the corner of his paper down. He looked at me and he goes, "I hope it works out for you." Put his newspaper back up. I'm like, huh? So
I love that you teach that same principle. I remember a story you shared about your boys, they're getting older. And so you almost shared that same story about an experience that you had. So that's cool.
Yeah. But that's why I wanted to hang out with you. So we know each other for a long time. And then finally we got to start to work together. But tell us about your team. Like what's the biggest your team has ever been? And what's some of the biggest struggles that you've had?
Yeah.
It's hard running a team.
I know. I remember when I first got into coaching, the team was 6 people And that was the year we were doing 320 loans. And I had no coaching experience, and I certainly had no management experience whatsoever. It was just grinding and probably pushing people around, and who knows what I was doing,
Yeah.
So I got into coaching and realized why I needed it. And it was specifically for management and leadership and, organization and all of the skills that I don't think a lot of people have. We're out there hunting loans,
Yeah.
So the team had grown to a size of 11. There might have been 12 in there.
Wow.
And it was,
It's too many.
it is too many. And I didn't really look up to realize, I was just doing the job. I was running the play. I was in coaching and grow, hire. I did everything that I was told to do. And I kind of looked up one day and was like, wait a minute, we got a lot of people, and how's it functioning, and who's doing what, and how successful is that, and are people happy, and all the things that we learned to develop, the skills that we learned to develop about having a team.
Yeah.
So that's as big as the team has been. And I think probably what I've learned from that is, and it's all from coaching, is how to handle everyone, and how to have proper job descriptions, and just make sure that people know exactly what they're supposed to do. And that way, they can come in and get right to it and know what to do. When you have a really big team, it's hard to manage. And, most of the originators and the MLAs, anybody who's listening to this, because you're being coached, that your main job is to go get business. And so how can you successfully do that and do 200, 300, however many loans you choose to do, and then manage a team and also be great at that?
Yeah.
And it's through coaching that you just learn over and over and over. And it takes a little while. It's not hop into coaching and 6 months later you're, a master at anything.
Yeah. It's I sit there listening to you, I'm like, yeah, because you got to have totally different skill sets. Being a great salesperson and being a great manager, they're almost at opposites. And that's why, honestly, when we see someone who does it really well for a long period of time, we're all like, wow, that's impressive, because it's not easy. Your current team, we're working on your job descriptions. And, when you have a big team, one of the things I've seen some teams struggle with is, you're the originator and you want your team to be happy, and maybe they don't want to do it the way you want to do it. In other words, the structure, who does what, and how the file flows through a team. Sometimes they don't want to do it the way that you're trying to do it. And I know you've run into that a couple of times. And how do you get through those times?
I listen to you. I follow direction. I'm trying to follow direction. I'm fairly new to Summit funding. This will be our second year, and so I'm learning a lot, being here, and I want to be as successful as I can. Most of that requires not being a people pleaser to everyone all the time, like you said.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just, sharing the vision of where we're going and getting buy-in from the team.
Thank you. Yes.
So instead of, this is how we're going to do it, here's your job description, read your paper, it's more of, this is where we want to go, this is how we want to grow. It requires us all, all hands on deck, and really getting them on board, and then switching it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're kind of right. Like, one of the things that you're talking about is culture on a team. And one of the things, like, you have really good work ethic, you're a really good originator, and you're a lot of fun. Like, your culture is good in your team. You guys have a lot of fun. You guys go out to dinner. It's like a big family going out to dinner. It's one of my favorite things to do, is go hang out with your group and go to a dinner. And it feels like I'm at Thanksgiving with my family, and everybody's kind of loving each other and fighting a little bit, and it's kind of fun. Yeah. So as an originator, I want you to tell us your two best tactics for getting new business, or just getting business. Like, over your years, what are the things that you've done that have had the best results? And then I'm going to break it down and have you teach us how to do it. Because everybody does everybody does the same things, but everybody also does it their way a little bit. So
Yeah.
what's your best tactic for being an originator?
My best tactic is going to go back to my financial advising days when I was just a hunter. So I think that I'm always on the phone prospecting. And two pieces of that specifically are making the hard call to the big agent who has a great big team. You know, they already know you. They know exactly why you're calling, but still making the phone call and still asking for business and not quitting. You know, the win will happen one day. And when it does, it's a great thing. So not giving up on that.
One of your best tactics is dialing out on a regular basis.
Yes.
What's your kind of style for that? Do you do it like, I kind of do it, there's the theme days that we teach, right?
Yeah.
40 realtor calls, Tuesday updates, TBD calls, VIP calls, database calls. And I work towards that, but I'm not perfect at it. I'm just not. I can tell you guys I am, but I ain't.
Yeah.
But I am good at paying attention. And then when I am panicking, and by panicking, I don't necessarily really meaning panicking, but kind of, like I'm good at paying attention and realizing I don't have enough business and then just forcing myself to pound out the phone. How do you do it?
Well, I use a couple of systems. I use Phone Burner and BombBomb.
Oh, you do?
I do. Yeah, I've been using those for a long time. And then I have the 10-week follow-up plan. And I use Excel, like an Excel spreadsheet for that, where that way I'm able to log everything. So Phone Burner is a system that you put your contacts in.
Like you upload a list, right? I use it sometimes. You upload a list and then you start that list and it starts calling them. And then when you pick up someone live, it pauses and lets you talk to them for as long as you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the thing I love about it though, really, is that it's like a Rolodex. So it literally, like in my system, I have, 10 different real estate companies and they're listed by, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, whatever the company is. And then I also have the big teams that I'm hunting. So the big real estate teams, I just literally have Jeff Jackson team, Eric Mora team. These guys have teams of 12. And so I'm pecking away at the teams. And then also if I'm doing a lunch and learn or something, I'll go into calling and inviting people from the real estate office. For example, I'm going to be doing a wine event for one real estate company. So on that week, I'm going to video that company and also call that company to try to get as many people for the attendance. It also gives me a reason to call,
Yeah, for sure.
So my BombBomb is a video system that you can play videos and talk to people, but I have them mirrored. So I have BombBomb and Phone Burner mirrored to each other so that I'm effectively videoing and calling in sync. So it's not messy, because Lord knows it can get, you're calling and then a video and you look back after 30 days and you're like, gosh, I called John, but I emailed Zane and I videoed Shannon. Like, I'm not really hitting everybody the right way to earn and develop any kind of relationship. And it can be very wasteful doing that every single week, not really penetrating anything.
Yep. So BombBomb keeps it to where you're calling the people and you're organized in the way you're touching them. So being in front of them more actively, more frequently. And then when you're calling them, what's your goal? What does it sound like? Like if I'm a big shot realtor in town, ring, ring, I'm Jim. Hi, this is Jim.
Hey, Jim, it's Kristy Gannon. Thanks for picking up.
Oh, well, you're welcome. What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, I know you're super busy. I'm grateful that you picked up the phone. And what I want to do is, most of the big agents know why I'm calling, they know exactly why I'm calling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I know that you're busy and you're doing your sales meetings once a week, maybe once a month, but I want to come in. I want to come in and I want to treat your staff. And I want to share 2 awesome programs that only my company has to offer right now.
Oh, wow.
And
so can I stop right there?
Yes.
So listen, like you I don't know if you know, I don't know if you do all that stuff on purpose or if you're just naturally good at it, but you gave honor. You didn't really ask. You told me what you were going to do. You said, I want to. You didn't say, can I? Right? So that's a really good sales tactic if you're listening. And then you quantified you stated your goal and you quantified it. So you're like, I want to speak at your sales meeting. I know you do it once a week. And I'm going to share 2 loan programs that no one else has that can help your team. Wow. So guys, when you do that, if you're listening to this, if you can copy that speech or come up with one that has the same characteristics, you get a lot higher probability of getting access to that meeting.
Yes.
Like right now, I want to say, what's your loan program do you teach? I want to know.
Yes. Okay. So right now, you want to know what I'm doing? I'm doing this right now. I got 3 appointments yesterday. And these are that call specifically, Jim, is for the big team,
Yeah.
the big agent
Right.
team.
Yeah.
They got a lender. They got 3 of them. You're not breaking in. Why did they already know why I'm calling? So I kind of get straight to the point. Otherwise, they're not going to pick up next time I call.
Yeah,
if I kind of fumble around.
Yep.
But the 2 programs that I'm really pitching right now is I got a high end and a low end. So I'm trying to cover all bases. I've got that down payment assistant program we rolled out on Friday.
Yep.
And the doctor loan.
So you go high end for the doctor
financing.
loans and you go down payment assistance. So when you go talk to them, you can cover all of their clientele.
Yeah, because I don't want to just be touching the low end. And I know that
Jessica, you got to get off the call, Jessica. That's all right. Keep going.
Yeah. So I made that call yesterday to a team of 14. The big shot guy picked up. I couldn't believe he picked up. Again, he knows why I'm calling. I want in. Let me be very clear. I want in. And I won't stop, unless I have been asked not to call because I have called so many times to one team. Kind of pissed me off a little bit.
Well, I always tell my loan partners, I go, so like my prayer is that a realtor that we work with will call me and tell me that you're over updating them.
Yeah.
I don't ever get it. So please keep updating them. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a good thing. It means you're doing your job. So
yeah. And too, a lot of times that call, these guys, they get exhausted. I don't think we realize how hard it is. They're managing a team.
Yep.
Even the brokers, the real estate, the brokerages, they get tired of doing the trainings.
Yeah.
They'd love someone to come bring some food and teach. It takes pressure off of them.
Totally.
And so, hey, there's no commitment. Let me come treat your team. I kind of quit using the bring food. Everyone's doing that. So I'm like, let me treat the team.
Wow, that's nice.
And they don't know what it is, and it's just food, but so yeah.
And then what is your so your first tactic is that you pick up the phone, you dial out and you get appointments. You really work the phone. Lots of people, they say they work the phone, and then you look at their cell phone on their dial outs for the day, and they maybe dial out 5 or 10 people in a day. Like a person in our business who I think really works the phone, when they're working that day, they'll dial out 70, 80 people. They're dialing out.
Yes.
And I know you do that. So what's your second tactic that works for meeting new realtors and getting more business?
Coffee appointments. So almost like a buddy lunch, but I'm doing coffee appointments early in the morning before the day starts. It tells me a couple things about, this is more for new agents.
Yeah.
And I don't deviate. Like, I'm not having coffee after 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you're serious about your business and you want to meet with me, and I think that you should, because it is extremely valuable. So I just put a lot on it. You don't want to miss a coffee with me. But I'm going to meet between like 8 and 9:30 is the latest. And if they're not willing to get up and meet with me, then they're not serious about selling real estate, and that's not a partner for me. So are you
getting introduced to these people for the coffees? Or are you
so
cold calling them?
I'm both. So some from the lunch and learns, I have a sign-in sheet. So I'll gather, if they were at the lunch and learn, I'll follow back up. And do a coffee appointment there, or just cold call, because I get the list from the transaction coordinator or the manager at all real estate companies has access to the roster in the office.
Yeah.
Which many times is different than anything you can find at your local board of real estate. Yeah. So I will find a way to get to know that person and just email and ask for a roster. they might not want to release it. So I'll do something like, hey, I want to send videos to your new agents. These guys need help right now. And I just want to give an extra push. Can I get a copy of that roster? And then boom, it gets downloaded and there I go,
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
So big experienced agents is one style, but then also new agents, the people that are excited and just got licensed and,
Yeah, I like to work with new agents. So you guys are listening to qualify. Maybe we'll both answer this question. You can go first. When you're working with a new agent, it's hard to tell. They don't have a history, right? So, so how do you qualify them? Like, how do you filter? What do you ask to get a sense of whether they're going to be good or not?
Good question. And sometimes you just really don't know at the end of the day. You're like, man, Johnny blew up. Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
But
I've missed
gosh,
yes, I have.
Right. Yeah. But to qualify them, I just get to know them and let them do a lot of talking. Married, children, how long you've been in real estate, what are your goals, what was your previous career, and I'm just listening to see if there's motivation, fire in the belly, a driving force. Just you can't really tell on the surface, and sometimes you can't tell over 20 minutes of coffee.
Yeah, it's hard to, for sure.
So I'm just kind of, I met an agent the other day. She's brand new, 3 kids, lives alone, quit her full-time job and is all in, had saved $20,000 to just jump ship and give it a shot. So I'm like aggressively calling on her. How are you doing?
Felt a connection with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of you, right?
I don't feel like she's gonna fail. She jumped in.
She has to.
And she has to.
Yeah. So that's what I look for. So the qualifying questions for me when I meet with a realtor who's new to the business is, I asked them, what made you get into real estate? And then just shut up and listen and ask the whys, right?
Yeah.
So if they're like, well, we have 3 kids and my husband works at Intel as a design engineer and I needed to be some flexibility in my work schedule. Okay, have a great day. I'm out the door as fast as I can get out the door. But if they say this one lady gave me the perfect answer. I asked her, what made you get into real estate? And she said, Jim, I was tired of someone telling me what I was worth. And I'm like, what does that mean? She goes, well, when I would go get a job, the guy would say, oh, you get $18.50 an hour or $21 an hour. So they were telling me I was worth that much an hour. I'm tired of people telling me what I'm worth. I
know that agent.
She said, I want to decide what I'm worth. Was it with you that she said?
It was, yes.
Yes. Was that with you?
It was. I'm still working with her.
That was the best answer I ever heard from an agent. Man, you better be working with that girl.
I am. Yes.
Good.
Yes. Yeah, that was a great answer.
That she's like, and then as we went on talking to her, she had no secondary source of income, right?
Right. Yep.
There's no second job. Their spouse didn't have some great job. In this business, new people need direction. And if they're in this business and they have no backup plan, they have a better chance of making it. And if they're dressed professionally and they look professional and they talk professional, I think it's worth giving them some time. And I think you got to be picky, guys, because you're going to go out and meet with a bunch of new agents and the success rate's only 5%. So that means 95% of them don't make it. So we got to be picky about the ones we work with. So we're getting here to the end. So what's one or two things that you would say to loan officers out there in this changing market that you think we got to do? Like if I was working for you and I was a loan officer, what would you tell me I got to do to make it through this next 2 years of changing market?
I'm just going to keep going back to, don't give up. I would say don't give up and just keep pushing forward, keep making the phone calls, go out to real estate offices, show face, and don't pay attention to the market in terms of inventory or interest rate, because I had my best years ever in a 6% market.
Nice. I love the last part.
It literally was. And I thought that the other day. I was sitting thinking about myself right now. Gosh, you're working so hard and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere and you already know all of the stuff. And I thought, Kristy, you had the best year ever in a 6% market. Why are you thinking about rates? get it out of your mind. People need a home regardless, and there's business out there. So just keep pushing forward. And if you want it bad enough, it'll happen. And if you don't, then it won't. That's it. You know?
Yep. I love that. I love that. Guys, if you're listening, as you go into this market and you're getting back to grinding, what the two things that I picked up on that you said were, number one is don't give up. So I totally agree with that. The second thing you said it in a different way. You said, hey, don't listen to the headlines. So don't listen to the lack of inventory and the problems that are facing our industry. Don't listen to those things. And I would add one more thing, and that is only hang out with people who are positive right now. Don't allow yourself to be around people who are talking about how tough it is and who are saying, who are giving bad thoughts out into the universe. Hang out with people who are going places. Kristy, thanks so much for being part of our podcast. Thanks so much for throwing your hat in the ring and being one of our coaches. I don't know if you know this, but you're getting some groups next semester. So I'm going to be counting on you to teach all of our other loan officers in our company and help Summit Funding grow as a group. Guys, have a great day. Bye.
Bye.